Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. Margaret Mead was born on December 16, 1901. She died November 15, 1978. She was the oldest of 4 children. Her parents and grandma taught her at home, and her grandma also taught her to observe children and their behaviors. Although she was homeschooled for most of her elementary years, she did attend public school for high school. She went to DePaul University for 1 year and then transferred to Barnard College, where she did graduate with a Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology. She then attended Columbia University, where she studied anthropology and psychology and did get a Master's of Arts. Who influenced Margaret? Besides her parents and grandma, it was Franz Boas, who was an anthropologist teacher and convinced her to go to Columbia University to further pursue her study of anthropology. Margaret began her anthropology work in a small island, Ta, studying the effects of society on Samoa women versus American women. She believed that there were strong evidence to say that Samoas did not have all of the anxieties that American women might have growing up in their cultures. She studied this and interacted with them and actually learned their language and even wrote a book called Coming of Age in Samoa. This book, however, was contested by different anthropologists who did not feel that she did the right research or did not believe in it. They didn't like how she did, and they didn't like her findings. And one in particular was Derek Freeman, who tried several times to refute what she had found. But those really can't argue the fact that what she found did not impact society and how they were raised. She also continued into New Guinea, where she studied children and how society affected them. Her biggest one, besides Samoa, was Bali, where she studied mental disorders and how society impacts them and how and vice versa. But the big thing here was that she actually documented this by film. So she actually brought back evidence of her findings by documentation of film, which then in turn has led for other anthropologists to be able to do film and documentation and not just the writing. Margaret worked for American Museum of Natural History. She was an assistant curator of ethnology and later moved up to curator. Her reasoning for being at a museum instead of in a school setting was so that she could share with the public the importance of anthropology and how cultural influences can affect them, and not just physical things, but how society can interact and do. Margaret was a member of many different organizations and associations. Two of her highest honors were, one, being inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame in 1976. Secondly, she was bestowed the Presidential Medal of Freedom by U.S. President Jimmy Carter in 1979 after her death. This is the highest award that a civilian can have. Margaret Mead leaves behind a legacy showing that culture can indeed impact the different areas of our life. And one impact is definitely through the education field. She totally believed that bringing culture into the classroom would benefit students and also assist them and help them to learn by their culture and not trying to go a roundabout way of learning.